Hi there. I'm Kristine Weber. I love to help mature yoga teachers allow their wisdom to shine a little brighter. Thank you for being here for my weekly live stream. Last week I was off. I had COVID. That was fun. Don't recommend it. Wear a mask. I'm still actually a little coughing, but anyway, today I'm here because I want to talk to you about your sacrum and what not to do in yoga practice, because I can show you all sorts of things to do for your sacrum to improve it. But there's something I think that I can help you with that will improve your sacrum without actually trying to improve your sacrum. I'm just going to adjust my camera because I'm a little lopsided. There we go. And that is what not to do in yoga practice. That tends for many people to mess up their sacrum. So the sacrum is a really interesting bone. I've got my assistant here who brought a sacrum with him. I think he just lost a finger. So anyway, the sacrum is a really interesting bone. It doesn't move on its own. It moves because of the motion of the things around it, the hips primarily, but your spine can also move your sacrum a little bit. The thing about the sacrum is, and yoga, is that you have these joints where the sacrum meets the ilium, right? And when you're doing a lot of yoga practices with your hips in abduction away from with your legs away from each other, and you're doing a lot of different things, excuse me while I put him back down, you're doing a lot of different things on one side and the other side. That means the sacrum is moving in nutation on one side and counter nutation on the other side. Nutation on one side, counter nutation on the other side, and maybe some torsion in the sacrum. And that sacrum doesn't have a lot of movement. I mean, it's meant to be stable. And so what happens in yoga is we take our legs wide apart. We do all these fancy things with our legs wide apart. And then we're like, oh, why does my butt hurt? Because sacroiliac pain is usually like the size of a quarter. You can see it right over the joint on either side, and it's a nagging pain. For some people, it's, it can be like a 2 or a 3 on the scale. Other people, it's excruciating because they've really messed it up. Ligaments are only supposed to stretch about 6%, and then they're done. When you overstretch them, they're done. And so what you have to do is start building up the musculature to support the sacrum. So I'm not going to talk about all that today. These are just really short videos. If you want to study with me, of course, I'm in the middle of teaching a whole month about the sacrum right now in my group, the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society. So you're welcome to check that out, and I'll put a link in the bio and the description. But the thing I can tell you right now is the stuff that messes up people's sacroiliac joints in yoga, because SI joint problem it's a problem for people like dancers and people who do yoga, but it's not necessarily a problem for the whole population that aren't doing these things that are requiring hypermobility. So here's what not to do. And I'm sorry, because a lot of people in the yoga world do this all the time. But what you don't want to do is warrior 1, followed by pyramid pose, followed by warrior 2. And we're on the same side, right? My right leg forward, warrior 1, pyramid pose where you're doing a forward bend, warrior 2, half moon, triangle pose, reverse triangle, reverse half moon. And then you get up and you do with the other side. So you see this all the time going on in yoga classes because it's fun and it's choreography, essentially. So you do this whole thing, you do all these fun movements on one side, and then you're going to do all these fun movements on the other side. And then you end up with SI joint problem. This is the way, if you have SI joint problems, don't practice like that. And if you don't want to get, especially if you're hypermobile, you're a flexible person, you're a flexible yogi, and you don't want to get sacroiliac joint problems, don't practice like that. 2 or 3 poses in one direction. Warrior 1, pyramid, or Parsvottanasana, right? Come up, do a forward bend, do the other side, warrior 1. And by the way, if you do have sacroiliac joint problems, you kind of need to leave that out for a few months until you work the muscles with lots of different variations of cobra and locust and chariot and bridge pose, you're using all of those, all the beautiful adaptations and variations of very symmetrical poses. Then you can go back, but when you go back, don't go back to those 16 poses on one side. Okay, it's usually not that much, but even like 5 or 6 poses on one side before doing the other side can be very aggravating for sacroiliac joint pain. I hope this is a helpful tip for you. If you're a yoga teacher, um, please start bringing some of this awareness into your teaching, because you don't want, first do no harm. And if you're a yoga practitioner, even if you're going to this fun class that you really love, just like stop in the middle of all of that stuff going on one side, do a standing forward bend, and then you can go, do the other side and then go back. But try not to just continue to exploit the mobility of one side, um, you know, without balancing it out. So this is what's so important. Balance is everything. Symmetry supports asymmetry. If you want to learn more from me, feel free to check out my membership group. It's called the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society. Lovely to see you. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Lots of love.